flu, so it was great.
Oh, sounds good. I'm lucky to not have it because I was far away enough.
Yeah.
Far away enough of all of the drama.
I think no one is away enough to not follow it.
Yeah. So let's not focus on that drama. Let's try to create our own drama. Maybe we could start by discussing the user stories. So Christina proposed a agenda for today, so I'm going to copy this one.
Do you have the link? Oh, wait.
Yeah, I will send. Yeah, so it's on the channel now. So there is a link for the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just reading. I read the feedback while they were writing it, but I read it again now that it's all finished. And there seems to be a lot of useful feedback. There's also some questions, it seems like we will still have to figure out, but nothing that we couldn't resolve, most likely. It seems like they've also been able to prioritize the issues. Not all of the stories are on priority 3, which is good. So we actually have like some priorities between the stories. Yeah, so let's go through the ones that actually have some comments on them, and let's see if there's anything that we need to address on them. So I'm going just from the top, I'm going to the feature level user stories. So let's see what is there. So it seems like promotion blocks that's in a prominent position on the homepage, but in right sidebar on all other pages, but hygiene factor don't necessarily draw huge attention to it. Yeah, so this is more of I think clarification of what we need. Promotion block that's in a prominent position on the homepage, but in right sidebar on all.
I was with Angie and Roy one day where reviewing them, and I think what it means is like there's some stuff that you think that it's gonna be there. I mean, you don't want. It's not necessary to make it a really huge thing to put it like something that someone has to view at the beginning, because people just get for sure that they will have it. I don't know if I was clear enough.
I'm not sure if I still understand what is this comment about.
I mean, that people expect that it's going to happen, that you can place blogs anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary to show them that it can be like that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you for explaining. I see. So they mean that a single blog doesn't have to be placed in multiple regions. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I understood from that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think this is more about that there is multiple regions available where one can place blocks.
Yeah.
So I think it's been a little bit of communication issues, but it seems like we don't have to create blocks that are put into multiple regions.
Yeah. I guess
we have...
yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. if you had anything.
Okay. No, I guess that it's more like if we found that in the design is useful to do it, it's perfect having it, but we don't have to put it there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not necessary.
Yeah. So then we have a create call to action blocks, and Angie has commented maybe create a Hebrew block type with an image field, and and then the comment is some kind of how-to about blocks is important. Do you remember anything more about this comment?
I think at the beginning it was more like it wasn't so important blocks until we explained that you could add fields to the block, like an image.
Yeah.
So then she found that it had sense having a hero image because it's a block with a field that it's an image.
Yeah, that makes sense then. Create unpublished content if showing of content moderates in else. No. So does it mean that it's not important if we are not going to show off the content moderation?
Yeah, something like that. That's the same that we said with the thing with the blogs, that it's not necessary. I mean, it's great that it's there, but people just think that it's going to be there. It's not another thing. Something that is going to show that Drupal is better with that. Because people just expect.
What is the difference between what is why? What does it mean?
What?
That they have the Y added on the column E.
So you're in the.
They have added like on most of the lines there's like a.
It's yes.
Okay, so does that mean that it's required or that they agree with the?
They agree that they agree.
With the priority.
Yeah, they agree with the number, the priority. That
okay, so I assume they didn't have time to go through all of them. Because not all of them have anything.
Yeah, I guess it's just like, for example, some of them, they have some comments. Probably not this one. Maybe they just didn't. I don't remember exactly with each one. Okay. What did they say? But...
Okay, so I'm gonna just proceed then. Then we have visitors have to be able to write comments, and they say, do we still feel in 2017 this is a common enough feature to put prominently in the demo? That's very interesting comment. They feel like that writing comments is not important on this site.
Yeah, it's more like what kind of sites usually have comments? Commerce sites, maybe, but you probably want to comment something with your social media accounts, not to log in a website and add your comments there.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should discuss that one a bit more when the time's right. It feels to me that some of the idea behind what we're proposing here is that this is a website built around a magazine, but we've effectively got recipes that are available in this site, effectively being shared. The possibility of sorry, just kill my phone, which is going off. Yeah, and the possibility of users sharing, you know, if that's the content model we go down in terms of actually, contributing. I would have thought comments might be quite applicable to recipes, for example.
Yeah, I think the comment is more like in terms of the demo, this is not important feature. but I think it's more important when we compare it to the example or like the use case that we have. And I feel like they might not have like compared these features against the use case itself, but like what is important for Drupal. Yeah. So for Drupal, it is not important to demonstrate comments, but if our use case requires comments, then it's then we can prioritize it ourselves. But it's like the product management is not telling us that this is important feature and this is one of the things we want you to demo. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
So I feel like in our use case, this makes sense, definitely. And because I feel like if we have comments enabled, it won't, because it's all very much like built in. It's very easy for us to provide that. And if it brings extra value for our use case, then we definitely should go ahead and include it. Yeah. Then I'm proceeding. Then we have edit content in place. Given competitors in our space already have this front and center, so it means that it's a very important feature. That editing content in place works well, which is something we have to take care of very much when we build the team, and probably as well when we create the design, that it can be edited easily with the quick edit. Then we have the search content. This definitely is a 99% use case, except our default search is awful. Well, it doesn't mean much for us. Then we have create content using revisions. We suspect this is not part of the first hour of exploring for most people. Yeah, so we don't have to enable revisions if we don't feel like it. I have two different roles that I can assign for additional users. That's not an important feature because they doubt that is even priority 2. That's great. And then we have a form in a block. Hard to pull this off in current core. What does that mean? Do you remember?
This one comes. Sorry, go ahead, Christina.
I don't remember exactly what were the comments for that, but I remember something like it was going to be hard to have a comment with the form itself unless it is the search or the login block. I mean, it's not something that we need to spend that much time on that.
Yeah. That is not important. I can see messages, hygiene factor. What does that mean? I have no idea, to be honest.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but it's something that is not too important, I guess, because it's still the nice one. Then we have be guided how to use the site and making first changes feels easy. Yes, this is what sample content and initial content model should communicate. So this one is a very important one, apparently, that the user is guided in some way on the site. So that's something we have to be able to accommodate with the content model and with the default content that we have somehow, without making it look not professional. Yeah. Then we have to be able to use the site in multiple languages. Raise to 2 because this is a key differentiator of Drupal. So they've made it. I think we usually make it 1, and they've made it 2. That 2 is we are not going to include it in MVP, but we will have to take it into account that it might be added later. Create URLs of my choosing. This is important for SEO. Have different layouts / displays in the sense that this is a key Drupal concept going forward. One of the content types should be leveraging a different layout type. Yeah, so they want us to use the experimental module for one content type, I believe.
Yeah, something that they said is that, I don't know if it's exactly related here, and I think there are some comments later, is that they didn't know, or they were expecting to use not stable modules on the profile. So I mean, the ones that are just going tested. I don't find the word in English now.
Experimental.
Yeah, thank you. They were expecting that we could use experimental modules also.
Yeah, I think that's what we discussed, but we just discussed as well that we have to be like, we have to prioritize which experimental modules we want to display, because it will be overhead, and we don't want to make the experimental installation profile look like it's on a shaky ground, like that everything is broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of that won't be good marketing for hard selves if like our demo is broken all the time.
Yeah.
So then we have a few of the generic comments here. Experimental modules. So they have, who is this profile for? Technical evaluators, people looking for jumping off point for their new sites, user stories, please. Do you remember?
Yeah.
What were they asking?
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly that, but they were expecting the stories that we had at the beginning, these higher level stories at the beginning of the file. They were expecting something more like that, more like something that was more related to the who is this profile for.
Yeah.
So personas, yeah, they were hoping for broader persona work. Okay,
Yeah.
that's something I might be able to help out on if you want me to. We did some of this already in just conversations with Kevin. I mentioned before that I had trouble finding the links because sadly they were lost from the back scroll in Slack. But I can remember most of it, and I even did a shared doc somewhere that I can dig out that wrote a lot of it up. And I was meant to go and find that after the last meeting we had, so I apologize, I forgot to do that.
Yeah, no worries. If you want, we could just work on that someday when it's fine for you, and try to fetch that out, and then send them to be reviewed by the product managers. So the getting feedback from the product managers should be a lot easier now because we have 2 more product managers in the team. We have Gabor and Roy joined, so it's like they've doubled the number of product managers, so it's way more easier to get any kind of feedback now. So you shouldn't be like worried about asking for feedback from them. I think they want to get the opportunity to answer for questions as often as possible. So,
fantastic.
So let's discuss on Slack, and maybe we can just make a call or something like that someday when you are planning to work on this, and then try to just write them all down at once. Does this sound good?
Yeah, sounds great. No problem at all. Okay.
Then the next question they have on the key and results questions is experimental modules, yes or no. As far as I know, we want experimental modules to be showed off. That's why the profile itself is experimental to allow this. Yeah, so I think this makes sense, but we have to just remember to be careful that let's not enable all of the experimental modules at once, because that was kind of what someone was expecting at some point, that the point of experimental installation profile is that we enable every experimental module. Which, like, considering at which stage some of the experimental modules are, wouldn't be a very good experience for our first-time users. For what are the next steps after playing with the demo? Delete the whole thing and start over, start modifying to mold into your project, etc. So that's a very good question. But isn't the answer for this one just that, yes, so delete everything and start from the scratch?
We were looking at the WordPress installation that I had on my local, and we were looking at the content itself explains to you what's the next thing you have to do. For example, when you install WordPress, the first content that you have says there, "Hi, I'm your first content. You can delete me if you want." So we probably won't work like that because the content itself should be closer to real content. But they were expecting some instructions, maybe a message, maybe the tour module or whatever. But they were expecting that it was clear for the user what to do after it.
Yeah. So in WordPress, you wouldn't have to delete everything, and you could just continue from that. That's I think we should also discuss this with the other the product managers, and maybe they would have some feedback on this, because I still feel like that the use case is slightly different that we are targeting to, because we are targeting for the technical evaluator, like the person who is not actually going to be building the site.
I think Angie had already in mind like a really important case that someone is going to build their own website on that. I mean, she was actually considering it as a really important thing.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Like, I understand that there is this use case as well, but I was having the impression that we agreed that that is not one of the user personas that we are targeting this this installation profile for. And that's probably something we need to discuss again if it has changed, or if I've got the wrong impression.
I guess it's more like having the stuff not broken after the installation. I mean, of course, not theming everything for being, for example, a blog anywhere, but
yeah,
they were expecting like the
but I think
theming,
the problem is as well that if we have the experimental modules there and people want to keep it installed, one of the modules that you have on the site might be just gone one day, and you might have built your site depending on that. So I think it's a big risk on because people don't understand what they're building on. So I think we should be very explicit that we don't support anyone building sites on top of that installation profile. Like, I would almost say that the site should kill itself after 2 weeks, and we should have like a counter that this site will die after 2 weeks. You can reinstall me, or like, I'm just like, because of the fact that your site might break after you update it later on. We should be very explicit that you should not build site on it. And if we want people to build sites on that, then we just have to accept the fact that it's not going to be experimental. It's going to be stable, and then we have to probably plan some things, create some new plans. How are we going to make this happen? But that's probably something we can just ask them on on Slack or something like that, and explain the problem space. We discussed this once, but it could be like, I don't think it was documented anywhere, so it is easy to forget these things. Then the next one is, what are the 5 things or 3 things or whatever that we want to, whoever the target is, to come away from the demo with? an understanding of how data modeling works in Drupal, how to extend Drupal modules. Oh yeah, so from the demo with example of how data modeling works in Drupal, how to extend. Yeah.
Okay. I guess this is related with what I was saying, that they were expecting this more high-level stories.
Yeah.
This seems to tie in with the next point, which mentions tutorial again. So I think there's 3 points here that we possibly do need to go back and get some clarity, because my recollection of our meetings just prior to Christmas, like you, Larry, remembers that it was decided this is a demo. It's designed to work out of the box. It's designed to work extremely well out of the box. Ideally, I've obviously mentioned this myself, it'd be great if we did have some form of interface that at least explains itself in a way that doesn't also detract from also using it like a site working in a publishing type site way would work. We don't want these two things clashing. But what I'm seeing here is some notes that are clearly pushing it back towards tutorial, when I thought demo was decided. That's what those last 3 points feel like to me.
Yeah, especially like the last comment is very much towards that what you are saying, Keith. I think the second last is kind of also related, especially the examples are kind of like how to extend Drupal with modules, how data modeling works in Drupal. Yeah, those examples are kind of also in the problem space of what tutorial would solve, not necessarily a demo. I think demo would show how Drupal can solve their problems and how amazing results you can get with this.
Yes, and I think it was you, Larry, that said this is quite likely to be an iterative thing as well. The demo is step one.
Yes.
We've gone from nothing to something, and iteration 2 is where you start playing with how that can be expanded on.
Yeah, and especially the reason why I feel like it's important that we iterate on this is because it's difficult to like when you have nothing, it's difficult to know what you actually need. So it's better to just build something that is simple and then get feedback on that and then reiterate based on the feedback that you got from what you've built. And like especially like that's when kind of the mindset of this being experimental came, was because that's exactly what we need, because it's like when this is experimental, it's like no one is going to build anything on that. It's just for people to install it once and then throw away. It's exactly what we need for that problem, because we can remove it at any point. If it doesn't work out, we don't have to support it later on, because it's just experimental and it can be thrown away at any point. So we don't have to like have this feeling that whatever we create now, we have to live with for the next 5 years or whatever ridiculously long time period what these things usually take. But this is instead like try to build something very quickly and see if it works. And if it works, we can iterate on that based on that. If it doesn't work, then rebuild something from scratch because of what we built is not supported, and we can get rid of it. Yeah, I hope that we still have the like, especially a couple of the last comments on this doc suggest that we might have forgotten the reason we chose that this is going to be experimental. But yeah, probably this is easiest to have a discussion with them and make sure that we are on the same page again. And then based on that, we can readjust. But I assume that if we go after we have the discussion, that we have still kind of like the same ideas behind this, because of this is what the team has been committed, and I think between us, like between the group who has been working on this, we have a pretty clear image of what it is. It's more about we just have to be able to communicate that with the product management. Yes. So I think we are pretty much done with this document now. So what we should do is work on the user personas a little bit more. And I will ask for some clarification about the tutorial/demo discussion again. And I will ask if something has changed on that from the last time we've discussed this. Okay. Then we have the next. Yeah, go ahead.
I think they were expecting more from us, that we take that decision, and then they agree or they don't agree. More than what do you think? Let's take this decision together. I mean, they were expecting an answer, and then
I understand that they've given out, like, because it's driven by the community. It's not driven by the like it's from bottom to top. It's not top down. So it's kind of like they want to see what they want to hear, what we want to build, and then they want to guide us on that. And so far, and now it's more about just making sure that we are still on the same page after the last discussion. Yeah. Anything else that we want to still discuss about the user stories?
Not for me. I don't
Okay.
remember anything relevant.
No, just to confirm that I think it is going to be the personas that will help feed this conversation about purpose, and whether this is a one-time install throwaway or whether this is something that needs to go on to the next step. If we can fulfill what we're trying to do with the persona work, and be on that first step to having something, then I think that's the basis of the conversations that have been had to date. So yeah, persona work, very important. I think.
And then after that, we can have the conversation with the product management with the new user personas and just get the clarification that we are on the same page. Yeah. That's exactly what we should do. So Roy commented on the out-of-the-box experience initiative. And changed it to a proposed plan. So he said that this initiative has at least 4 parts: show off new experimental features, introduce sample content to improve discoverability of core concepts and features, make all of the above look and feel good, with a theme that supports the sample content, create a space inside core where all of this can live, the experimental installation profile. So, or interlinked, we probably want to eventually create a plan for each of these. Besides continue to plan all these things, the most concrete and actionable step would be start working on getting the actual environment where all this happens in place, the experimental demo installation profile. How is it presented in the installer? How can you tell that this is an experimental demo that you should not use as a starter kit for something you want to use in production? So at least Roy seems to be still thinking that this is just a one-time one-time install and throw away thing. Yeah. So I think Kevin actually started working on that already. I have no idea of where the issue is, but I will link it for this issue. Like Kevin already did some mock-ups how this could look like. So most likely we should just continue based on that, because I think it looked pretty good, to be honest. So I will link the issue here, and I agree with Roy that that would be one of the actionable things that we could work on. Besides, so Roy has proposed that we need 4 different plans. So we have a plan for the sample content. We have a plan for the team. We don't have a plan for the installation profile yet. So that's definitely something that that's something that I should be working on. I was supposed to work on this earlier already, but I haven't taken the time to do so, which I'm sorry about. So I will try to create a plan for the installation profiles, just like how are we going to import the default content, and then we can also ask feedback about the architecture from the framework managers. Like, should we use migrate for that, or should we use something else? But I think we first need some kind of a plan for that. Yeah. But I think the team and the default content ones, they have a pretty solid plans.
Yeah, I think so.
So someone has just commented on the Slack that install once and throw away seems completely pointless to me. If you want to see good Drupal sites, you can just install a profile or look at existing sites. Well, I think unless you hack the sites, you are unable to modify anything on them or access the administrative UI. Yeah, so in that part, at least, that is not accurate.
Yeah, I think we were all pretty clear when we were doing the example content. I mean, obviously we were originally working against the tutorial.
Yeah.
And it was decided that obviously, for various reasons, it was decided that a demo was a better first step because it has broader appeal. You know, we're talking about everyone from someone who's just considering Drupal for the very first time, just taking a look around for the very first time, maybe even revisiting after being elsewhere with other content management systems, right through to site builders who might be using another content management system, who want to get some kind of frame of reference. You know, they might be hitting, we discussed this before, they're hitting a ceiling, perhaps with their own CMS or their own experiences working elsewhere, and they want to be, they just want to be getting a frame of reference for how things piece together. So what you're saying there, Larry, I think is really important to what we're trying to do with this step one, which is this is a space that you can actually you can use, you can log in, you can actually understand the principles of how this is working, especially if we can crack how to actually give some level of descriptive experience for it, some kind of tour, albeit you know, not a tutorial, but just some kind of contextual explanation of what's going on.
Yeah, but also, sorry to interrupt, but I think the very important part as well is just the branding aspect. How do we look like for anyone who is looking at us?
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the easiest way to solve problems related to that. We don't look like CMS from 2010, but that we look like from 2017 or 18.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem. Like when people, like a lot of in a lot of different contexts, people show screenshots. They show like this is how this look like when you install it, and then when you look at Drupal and compare it to our competitors, it's like you can clearly see how much behind we are on the design.
Yeah.
And that is definitely one of the important aspects of the wall. Just like simply how do we look modern, or do we look something that is not so modern? Yeah. So I will. Yeah. I can, or anyone, if you feel like, just reply something and we can have a discussion with him. I think that's a similar discussion we've had with product management already. Like we've discussed the similar things. Is this useful or is this not useful? Is this useful enough? And so on.
I guess we can't know what people is going to do with the site once they have it already installed. we can actually think or prevent or whatever they can do, but of course we need to focus on our primary need. I mean, if we think it's a demo, we can prepare it for someone that is going to use it for them, for their sites, but not investing more time on it. I mean, just taking it into account and being sure that, for example, all the blogs can be placed or could be placed and don't look completely ugly anywhere else.
Yeah, but I think there's a simple problem that we can't really allow users to
but how
use
do
it
you,
as a base.
how do you forbid them? I mean,
yeah, I think it's just enough
you
warnings
can't.
and other things. Like their site is gonna break if they use this as a base.
But for me, if I'm going to install a Drupal profile and it says it's going to break, I won't read it's a demo profile only with the only purpose you to see how it works. I will read Drupal is going to break. I mean, it's kind of a bad warning. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I understand, but we have to do it in a sensible way. But go ahead.
So yeah, I just wonder how many stories though really are reliant on experimental. You know, I mean, the whole goal is to show off capability of core. There's a heck of a lot of stable core, and there's a lot of it. That's one of the big wins with what we're trying to do. So, that feeds into this, doesn't it?
What
Yeah.
do you mean? I'm not sure I followed you. You mean that we are not going to break the Drupal core itself?
No, my understanding of it was that, if I've understood you right, Larry, you're saying that this will break if people try and spin this off to use it in their own way. And I've literally not spent any time thinking about how they would do that because that's not been our focus. Yeah. So I'm thinking out loud here. And you're saying that will break because of experimental modules, or the fact that it's experimental itself. Sorry, experimental dependencies, as opposed to it being experimental itself. Well, that's what my understanding of it was. That we've got a few.
So there's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing is, are we going to support experiment? Like, are we going to support backwards? Are we going to have backwards compatibility on this installation profile itself? That's a one thing. And I think providing BC for the installation profile itself, as long as we don't depend on experimental modules, it's fairly simple. But if we mark it as experimental, we might just go ahead and not provide BC for the installation profile as well. So the problem is definitely the dependencies, and it's more about the ones that, so it seems like the product managers are suggesting that it's important that we demonstrate the experimental features. However, if we are willing to give up that requirement, then I think supporting BC would be fairly easy for us. As long as we mark the schema and the content itself, but as internal. But I think that doesn't really matter because it's only installed when you install the site. So most likely the people don't reinstall their site and rely being the same. Yeah, it's a good question, I think. But I think we have to discuss this, like what is the requirement from this? Do we want to support backwards compatibility or not? If we have the experimental modules as a dependency, it doesn't make any sense for us to support backwards compatibility in any way because of the modules.
Yeah, and it's a good question in terms of personas as well, because if we're talking about evaluators, then if they're getting carried away with some of the really cool features that are coming along that are experimental, and they want to build now in Drupal, that's not a good starting
And
point.
then yes, and if they don't understand that they're building on top of experimental modules.
Yeah, how do you even tell that story? Because instantly what you're seeing is features that they may even be familiar with from other places, and we're effectively saying, yeah, it's kind of there, but it's not ready yet. So sorry, don't use that. Yeah, so that has to feed into the MVP. We're sort of back to MVP here, aren't we?
Yeah.
For all of these questions, when we're saying no, we're just saying when. That's what it kind of feels like to me.
Yeah. So like even these features might be familiar for them from previous Drupal sites, because of many of them has existed in contributor modules before. So there's no way anyone would be thinking that there is a risk through the UI. Yeah. So I think we need to work on the user personas, and after that have a call with the product management and go through all of these different things, and then try to find a conclusion. Do we want to enable experimental modules, or do we not want to do so? Because there's big downsides if we do enable them. Yeah. So I think the next thing on the list was see if DJ has any kind of need for help. Is there anything that you need help on, that you need to be unblocked on?
I don't think so at the moment. I mentioned last week that I think I just mentioned it in Slack to you, that we just did a bit of workshopping here really around brand, and what type of food magazines are out there, what their names are, what type of name might work well for a project such as this, what type of sample content could work well alongside that. And also, very importantly, how easy will it be to source, to produce? Could we even come up with types of sample content where assets that want to go along with it, the visual side, sort of images, in the mainly images, might be even easier to produce. And we had a few ideas around that. So I've got a whole load of notes. This one last week just gone by, I didn't have a lot of time available, but we're good right now. So yesterday I started piecing all of it together again. Rather than just throw it straight into the shared folder that you've created, Larry, I think it would make sense that I assemble all the screenshots into some kind of order. So we've just basically been doing lots of scrapbooking. Got a document that is should be shared now in the shared folder that you created, that's got all of the terms, all the food terms that we put together. And yeah, just talking about really the fundamentals, the kind of stuff that's good to get nailed down early, so that we can be springing forward on the creative side of things. So starting with name, we were discussing, because obviously the prototypes that I produced previously were based on just coming up with a name called Salva, which is I think it's silver platter. It's a name for a silver platter. I was trying to find names where obviously there wasn't an existing food magazine. What we did notice is that an awful lot of food magazines actually just have food in their name, and it really works. You sort of know straight away that it's about food. I've uploaded a screenshot of the straightforward food magazine Google search images into that shared folder already as well. So that's where we're starting, just the real basic building blocks really, to then leap into doing some brand work that we can share and see what the response is, along with ideas for articles.
Yeah, sounds good. Is
that okay?
Yeah, sounds good. And sounds good that
you've opened it. There it is.
If there's nothing that we can do, then
food.
Yeah. So if there's anything that we can do to help you, just let us know on the on the Slack we are putting to help.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a discussion thing as well. I think it's sort of throwing all the ideas that we've had so far in the pot, probably trying to distill them down a bit, because there's an awful lot of terms. We've had a couple of ideas of names, so if I push those into a document, but I think it'd be really good if this is opened out. You know, get others, get what everybody else thinks on this.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that'd be good to put into next meeting, perhaps.
Yeah. So then we have the last topic, which was how/when to answer the other participants, which is more of that. So we had lots of people that wanted to hear more information, how they could contribute into this, in the Drupal or this initiative. And we haven't still replied about how are we exactly going to be mentoring them. And this is a good question. So it's been now almost 2 weeks since the last reply from us. So it might be kind of late, but we might still get some interested people. So any ideas how should we proceed with managing that?
Well,
so the original idea was that we would have one-on-one meetings with the people, but I think then later on people said that it's not that good of an idea.
I guess what we could do is just reply with an email saying what's the status of the new theme. I mean, the design is just it's in process. I mean, someone is working on it, but it's going to take its time. And until then, if you want to or help to get involved in the usability team, in the usability meetings or wherever, then we can help. Because for now, we can't say then how to help, because it's nothing else than these meetings for now.
Yeah. So would anybody be interested in trying to write such email?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
Of course, if someone take a look after I write for my English, you know.
Yeah, we will help you. It's just someone needs to start doing it, and then other people will help you, of course.
Okay, I will share a doc in the Google Drive, and I will share the link with you.
Yeah. So I think we are pretty much done from today. We have 3.5 minutes time till the scheduled time ends. So
if you need any help with the installation profile, writing anything or whatever.
So it's about the installation profile, I will start writing it and create a doc, and then share it on the Slack. So anyone feeling like you want to help, just go ahead and we can collaborate on that. Keith, is some day in early next week work for you?
Should do. Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
Let's arrange the exact time on Slack, but just the time period would be something like that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Let's continue working and see you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep. Take care. Bye.